What's up? I'm hoping the sound is not that bad today. Alright. I think I'll call this one Crash Course Young Justice Marathon. Okay. Yes. Okay, how do you feel? Have you got? Should we talk to the fetching car? Sure. She doesn't talk. Okay. Do you have anything to say? Yes. Design is a very cool cartoon and amazing. It's fantastic. And it's correct. Yeah. Okay, now you can go. Alright. This week. Yeah, you're really rich. This week, I just thought I'd do like a quick overview because I watched them just as they came out. I never actually watched them together like most of you bastards, to be honest. Yeah, bastards. And so you all saw it like one after another after hour, and well, I had to wait from episode 1 to episode 3. I had to wait like 6 months, and then I had to wait like crazy amount of time, obviously, for episode 18 to 19. So of course, Young Justice came back on with the 10th episode, which isn't really the newest episode. The newest episode will be this Saturday. I watched them all just to see what it feels. And it feels good. It feels pretty good. See, I realized in hindsight, after watching everything that happened, in hindsight, it's actually really, really cool. You can see all the little puzzle pieces that we're throwing around, the major plot that they're throwing in, like all these little subtle hints, how everything progressed, how it started all from Superboy's liberation to the light, to the light finding out about the Young Justice and having to hide themselves, to all the Starro tech. It just one after another. It was pretty fun. It was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. I quite enjoyed it, the marathon, and it made me realize how good the story is. I was actually trying to write like an overall treatment yesterday on what I think the new Justice League movie should be. I have this habit of sending like messages to the TC contacts page on the TC website, and they seem to rip off my ideas, but never give me a job. It's all me. So I thought I'd send them the Justice League one and the treatment for Justice League. But while I was writing, I realized, the major plot and development and things that were going on with the biggest movies of last year, like Avengers and Dark Knight Rises. The biggest failure of the last 2 years in terms of themology, like Amazing Spider-Man, Green Lantern themology, and what mistakes they made and what mistakes the other ones didn't make. And I was thinking, the grand scale of the story between The Dark Knight Rises and the Avengers. Whereas The Dark Knight Rises, it's all about and the Avengers is all about. Well, Avengers is more about the character interaction, their personalities, their role in the plot, and what makes a good grand climatic invasion story. Whereas with, say, something like Dark Knight Rises, so what about, is humanity inherently evil? That's basically what it's saying. So one was a battle between humanity and what is inherently evil, and another is the aspects of humanity represented by the different characters, and not what makes a hero, but what makes a plot, the story, how to make it work. One was about the invasion, one was about the occupation. So I was trying to think of how to make a Justice League movie that doesn't fall under those categories, to try and make it original. But I kept falling back on the Avengers. I kept thinking, okay, if this is 7 Justice Leaguers, and each character represents a different thing. I decided not to use Superman. I wanted to use Icon, because I kind of like Icon. I think his character would be a bit more interesting. So I was developing the story in terms of character, which is, I believe, what Joss Whedon did for his movie. So, well, Joss Whedon makes movies. I decided Icon because he landed in America in the 1800s. So he knows the worst of humanity, the slavery. And the next one I used Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Batman because I think he would be the perfect incarnation for the new Batman, the Neil Adams Dark Knight detective Batman, as opposed to Christian Bale's driven Batman, because we haven't seen a real detective Batman, and we know Batman the detective. So, and he's already been a police officer, he already discovered Batman's identity. He would be the perfect person to discover super crimes if they really work on his character as a detective. Plus, his character already exists, so we don't have to waste time with the origin story of every single character in a movie. That would be horrible. And so I put the Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I also put in Black Canary because I think as a dynamic for Batman, she's really similar, except she just has one superpower, her voice, which I think would work really well. She can fight. She's a self-made woman, but she has that one edge. Batman, whereas Joseph Gordon-Levitt is perfectly human, but in terms of relationships and relatability, in this version of Justice League, it would go really well together. And the fact that she's a self-made woman. The other thing I was going to go with was, say, Green Lantern, but I wasn't going to pick Hal Jordan because, to be honest, his incarnations is very limited in comic books. In the newest incarnation, he's so stripped and devoid of character, it doesn't translate well to film at all. I would either go with, and I would change the focus from the grand science fiction part of the Green Lantern mythos to the character part, like the Justice League Unlimited one. So Kyle Rayner is a 90s character, is full of quirks, full of enthusiasm, so it's totally relatable on screen. Or John Stewart, because it's just like this stiff-driven guy. It's more about his character. So I realized I was actually going down the Avengers, but I carried on it because I just wanted to see. Because, okay, I didn't really realize until I got to the last one. I was thinking next would be a young Wonder Woman. Either Donna Troy, Cassie, or just a young Wonder Woman. Because one, if it's a young character, they haven't fully developed yet, so they're really discovering themselves in the movie. Whereas if we have an already developed Wonder Woman and she only has like 10 minutes of screen time, all her elements of being, of being feminist, of being an Amazonian princess, of all the Zeusian mythology, it would become a cliche, just like the first 6 issues of the New 52 Justice League. She'd just become a horrible, pointless cliche. If she's a young character who's finding herself, and her growth is represented by her battles, like she makes a mistake in the beginning, she does better in the future, it will work better in the grand scale of the story. This is my thought. Okay, so we got Superman, we got Batman, Black Canary, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman. That's what, 5? We got 2 more, right? Alright, the 6th one, actually I'll show you the 7th one. The 6th, I was going to go with the Flash, and I was going to go, he's the most grounded character, he's the most humanly relatable. I wouldn't use any of the existing Flashes, though. I'd probably set him in Africa, make him a little bit more rooted and more grounded and more, because he runs around the world, he's more closer to humanity than everybody else. Then I really thought about it, that's what Captain America is, and that's when I realized that I was actually going through the Avengers. And then I realized how boring Captain America was. So although Flash should be in the movie, I don't know how to do it. Well, I also thought of Martian Manhunter, but I would say that they have to really focus on his powers, because his character is so well established. It's really hard to develop him as a character, because we know what Martian Manhunter should be. The one thing we don't see is a live action visual representation, so I don't know what to do with this character, but I know that visually he has to be interesting. His changeling power, and his powers are far too similar to Icon's. Because I don't want Superman, to be honest. I think Icon would be more interesting. The final character I was going to pick was Captain Marvel, and I thought this was quite interesting. So, I mean, they did it in Young Justice anyway, but it would be quite interesting because Batman would discover that he's Captain Marvel hides that he's a 10-year-old boy. He never changes in front of him, but he has like these altruistic quirks about him that that those subtle Batman notices it, and through that he deduces that he's actually a boy. But I thought the twist would be more interesting if he was, say, far more. Either he was, say, he had autism, or he was paraplegic, or something, which would make it kind of like an interesting twist on Captain Marvel character. Now, for the main plot of this, so I realized that the themes I was going for was like a more thought out kind of character based plot as opposed like the Avengers. That's what I was going with. The Avengers is more about the character and the invasion. And I was trying to think of a grand plot, storyline that would go well with it. So I thought that the story of it would be, say, thematically, the Batman, obviously, and the story. Okay, we got Avengers. Avengers attempted invasion. We've seen that. Okay, and then we've got Dark Knight Rises, the occupation of the invasion. So we can't have that. So I thought instead of having aliens, we just make it more grounded and just make it a internal problem. Hello? Hello? Okay. I thought I would make it an internal problem. Making it an internal problem, as in its own enemies. That's where I started to go towards the Dark Knight's plot. I was going to go with Vandal Savage. Even though he's immortal, he's accomplished, he doesn't have as much powers as the other. Remember this. He doesn't have as much power as the other. But he's powerful, he's smart, he is an accomplished villain. And then we got the science villains as well. They can work with him as well. I didn't develop that part that much. I was thinking more about the Vandal Savage part. I was also thinking the inherently evil part is quite similar to Watchmen. You can see part of the poster over there. Watchmen. But Watchmen failed to really win me over in all its formats. The ending wise, because, comedian is the worst trait of humanity. If only somebody shot him. That's my main problem with Watchmen. But I was trying to stray away from it, so I thought it would maybe be more interesting if it's a power thing, because we got the characterizations, but we need a plot that reflects it. So I thought instead of just some invasion story or some Batman story, I thought it would be more interesting if it was a power story, just simple good versus evil. The Justice League have powers, and they're more powerful than the villains. Well, at least Vandal Savage. But they don't want to be evil. Vandal Savage has powers, but doesn't have the ultimate power, and therefore he wants to be evil. So instead of power corrupts absolutely, the lack of power corrupts absolutely. He is kind of the direction I was thinking of going. So I thought that would be really easy. Because I really wanted to get away from the other grand internal invasion stories like Justice League Unlimited. That was about the political aspects, and Young Justice right now Invasion is about the xenophobic aspect. So this time I want to avoid those obvious cliches and just go straight on with just good versus evil. Power, does it corrupt or doesn't it corrupt? I'm going with an idealistic approach here. I just think it will be far more interesting to see on screen. So, keep that in mind. Yeah, I totally went on a digress, didn't I? Well, yeah. What do you think the new Justice League movie should be? Well, how amazing can it be? Okay, it's almost 15 minutes. I think that's my limit. So choose to, yay, nay, maybe, your own idea that's better. I'm good with that. Etc. I think Justice League will be quite fascinating. Okay, nice to see you. See you. Nice. Yeah, I'll do another one.